Tax Review Board hearings for October 14th, 2021 will come to order. Before we turn to the full agenda for today, we're going to deal with one matter that is here for decision only. This is a matter that had been with the Court of Common Pleas and was remanded back to the Tax Review Board, and the board considered its decision after further discussion at this end. And basically what we'd like to do is add a few comments about the board's process before we actually give the decision. First off, we say that the city had placed an argument about timeliness, and we considered that as being moot because the Court of Common Pleas had specifically returned the case to us for a decision on the merits. The city came to the Tax Review Board unprepared, in our opinion, and we had pictures and notices and information in our files that the city was not referring to or dealing with when we had the return hearing. The petitioner would not have benefited from the city's request to have a continuance so that they could bring together further information, and the objection of the petitioner to the continuances, to having a continuance, was heavily weighted by us in deciding to go ahead. Ultimately, the board cannot ignore the documents in its own file, and therefore we find that the petitioner did have notice. The city photo was dated 5/29/09, as well as the condition of the property, which was supported with additional photos. But after considering everything, the board denied the petition, but did agree to abate 100% of the interest and the administrative charge. And we would ask that the petitioner make or enter into an installment agreement within 90 days. So basically that's what we have laid out as our decision. You'll get a letter from us that spells out our decision. Both sides, is there another appeal to court on this? Or yes, I just wanted to make sure that that because this had been remanded to us, it didn't remove the normal provision that our decisions are appealable to the Court of Common Pleas. I'm going to assume for the moment, however, that neither side is going to choose to appeal on this remand, and you'd have time after the 30 days to have the additional 90 days to enter into a payment arrangement with the city. Do you have any questions on this? I'm referring this to the petitioner who is on the call. And I realize we didn't swear you in because we're thinking you'd just be hearing this, but if you have further information or objections, I would pause to swear you in.
Do you know that balance that because you said it without the principal and
I do not have those figures right now. Basically, it would be that we're removing the interest, and when there's a time period that's elapsed, that is often the most extensive add-on piece here. We're removing that and also the administrative charge. So it's down to basically what the principal was on the amount that was due in the first instance.
And how would I know? How would I know if they appeal or not? Like, so if I know this, like the final decision.
Well, basically, you got to notice if they were appealing, and there's a 30-day period after our letter comes to you. The letter will have a little bit more explanation in it in terms of what the steps are. And assuming that you don't want to appeal and the city doesn't want to appeal, you could really even agree on that earlier than the 30 days and start the process of negotiation on a payment arrangement.
Okay. And I should receive something within the next couple of weeks, or?
Right, a week, 10 days. You probably know that mail is not as rapid as it sometimes was, but you should get a notice from us in approximately 10 days.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us to hear this decision. And as I say, you'll get a letter that spells it out in writing so that you can ask any further questions of the city in terms of, or come back to us if you need further interpretation of our decision.
Okay, and me making that arrangement, that'll be through L&I, right? I will have to go.
It would probably actually be through either the law department or the Department of Revenue, where they would enter into the payment agreement.
Okay.
Law would be involved in it.
Okay, so that'll all be in that'll be in that letter that'll explain me when I.
Enough should be there that you should know who you would be going to. If not, you can touch base with the Tax Review Board office and get a clarification if you still have questions.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And you're free to sign off whenever you're ready. Okay, thank you again.
I just, before we proceed, I forgot to note that please be aware that this is a public meeting and it is being recorded. Because the meeting is public, participants and viewers have no reasonable expectation of privacy. By continuing to be in this meeting, you are consenting to being recorded, just for the record. All right, Nancy, can you please proceed with the rest of the list? I'm going to be putting in petitioner number 1.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much. And I'll introduce what that matter is while you're getting the petitioner. Number 1 is Bernadine Esleplet. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Last 4 digits of the docket, 6954. The property address is 6445 Upland Street.
I just have one question, members of the board. I know you're calling the petitioner over. There was a continuance request on my cases, and I just wanted to know if that had been ruled on.
Oh, I'm sorry, I should have indicated that. If you're referring to the cases of John F. Joyce that for the property at 2818 Belgrade Street, are those the property?
That's correct. Counsel
Okay.
for the.
Yeah, my apologies. I should have read that into the record earlier. We had a continuance request, which the board is agreeing to grant for those 2 items.
Very well, thank you.
That should be on the record, and I apologize for not reading that in before we turn to get the petitioner number 1 into the room.
Thank you.
Is that the only thing that you have before us?
Yeah, that's it for today for me. Thank you.
Okay, well, we thank you for being here, and we should have put that into your attention in a more timely way. Thank you for asking about it before we went on to other things.
Nancy, the petitioner is in the room.
Okay, fine, thank you. Good afternoon. This is Nancy Cameradiner, the chair of the board. Please identify yourself for the record.
My name is Brian Dennis Triple L.
I'm sorry, I was having trouble hearing you. Please repeat your name.
Brian Dennis Triplet.
Okay, thank you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth with everything that comes before the board?
I do.
Okay, thank you. And you can tell that at least I have trouble hearing and the petitioners from time to time. And so I would ask that when you're called upon to speak, that you speak up as much as you can. I know it's not easy in that room. The microphone and the camera are both at the computer. So if you're close to that, it will help. Who has this matter for the city?
Jeffrey Cohen, members of the board for the city of Philadelphia.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any other city witnesses who may need to be sworn?
I believe Richard Wade for L&I. If you could unmute yourself, Richard.
Richard Wade, litigation support, license and inspections.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth with everything that comes before the board?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Does the city have any opening comments before we turn to the petitioner?
Just to make sure that the city's position statement and exhibits packet have been given to the petitioner, I figured we'd start in the middle of the exhibits packet just to establish what's going on at this property.
Okay, I do not know. Has a city packet been given to the petitioner?
I can see it on screen now.
Okay. Oh, okay. I wasn't looking at that. What I was looking at, it was you, not on. and so I wasn't sure. So
Well, if I can ask Richie to first start with just a statement of what is due currently.
That was going to be my next request. So please provide the information on the amounts that are due and owing.
This is for the property, this is for the property at 6445 Upland. This is a clean and seal abatement. The bill date, March 16th, 2019. The bill amount in principal, $618.50. It's broken down into labor and materials, $511.16, an administrative charge of $107.34, interest to date, $95.79. The total amount due, $714.29.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any other comments before we turn to the petitioner?
Oh, I was going to go through the exhibits packet just to show the notice of violations that was sent and the before and after photos. But if you'd like, we can start with the petitioner and then.
Right, we usually do unless there are just a few opening comments, but not really the full packet of
I
things.
guess the opening comment is simply that the photographs from before and after do show the work that was done. And that is backed up by, as Richie just said, the labor and materials that went into the work that was done at that property.
Okay, fine. Let us turn to the petitioner. First, have you been given the packet of information from the city? I just want to confirm from the petitioner directly that you have seen or have access to the information that the city's referring to.
Yes, ma'am.
You have that?
Yes, I just received it.
Okay, fine, thank you. So let me turn to you. Tell us why you're here and what you're looking for from this board.
At the previous hearing, I've established while the city was caught lying under oath. That's why we're to the next level. If you look at the way that this house is boarded up, it's not in uniform on how the city of Philadelphia boards up houses. So that means they were not the ones who boarded it up. I paid for a contractor. I paid for the materials. I've established all these things. So for the city to still say they're the one that boarded this place up, they didn't. What's going on was the neighborhood was in transition. They were using the neighborhood as a dumping ground. So even after I would board up the place, these people would go there and dump trash in front, in back. The city said they wanted the place sealed up. I did just that. If you look at the board in the exhibit, that's board purchased at Home Depot. Now, the city of Philadelphia has a uniform structure. When they board up these houses, they put up a board, then they put up another board on the side, another board on this side, one across the top, and an orange seal. There is none of that on the front. There is none of that on the back. That means you guys didn't do that. So there's no reason for us to keep playing this game and acting as if the city of Philadelphia were the one who boarded up the property when they weren't. I had the receipts. I brung it to court. I established that with the court that it was a contractor that I paid and a receipt from Home Depot for wood that I bought, and that sealed up the property.
Do you have that?
Do you have
evidence?
those receipts now?
I've already established that last time, and no, I
No,
don't. have
we
those
start, brother. We start from, we're like an appeals court. We start from zero. We don't go by what you established before with any other court. Do you
Well,
have
what I
them
did
now?
bring this time was from.
No, sir,
the
sir.
receipts
Yeah, I'm asking a yes or
from
no
the
question.
dumping.
Just a yes or no question.
Dumping of the
Hold
trash.
on. Do you have because if not, I mean, we can continue till you
Yeah,
get
we
it.
need
We
to
can come back.
continue, because I wasn't prepared this
Hold
time.
on,
I can come back.
Hold on, sir. You don't have them today. Is that correct?
No, sir, I don't have them today.
But you do have them.
Yes, sir, I established that I presented them previous.
Who did you establish it with? Was it a master, just one person?
Yes, it was just one person.
Okay, because then you appealed the master to the full board and the full board starts out from scratch. I just wanted to
I'm
help you
understanding that
understand
now. This is
what my
first
colleague on the board was telling you.
I understand
Ms.
that.
Andre, do we have any of those documents in the file?
Yes, first, I just want to say, can we let the person who's talking finish before we respond? The stenographer is literally typing everything everyone says. And so you have to let the person finish what they're saying in order for her to get it all down. So I'm just going to ask you to I know you want to answer the questions, just let them finish answering, saying the questions. And then additionally, I'm looking through the file and I don't see any additional information regarding receipts or anything like that.
Well, this is my recommendation, Madam Chair, that we continue this and allow the petitioner to adequately prepare and bring the receipts or email the receipts. So that when we hear this case, we'll have all of the relevant information.
Could I ask a question that might illuminate some of this?
Please.
Mr. Estriplet, when did you actually hire the contractor and when did they come out to do this boarding work?
I have no idea, but up until I boarded the property, it was open. It was never boarded up, and then I had to reboard. Once I got the first initial violation that told me to board it up, I took care of it expeditiously.
So moving on a little ahead, the initial notice violation date is September 24th of 2018. Do you remember if it was shortly after that, within a couple of weeks or months?
Correct.
Okay.
The other alternative would be to hear things and then have the petitioner submit the documentation afterwards. What is the board's pleasure? Do you want to continue it now? Or do you want to get any further testimony and then take it under advisement for more information to be provided?
I think the timeline is going to be really important here, judging from the photos that Mr. Cohen has submitted from May of 2019 and then later on. So it might make more sense to get the documentation so we can see Mr. Estriplet's timeline for when he responded and when he actually did the boarding up.
Okay.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I think that we need the documentation so we can see an adequate timeline.
And I want to ask one further question of the petitioner, Mr. Estriplet. If based on what you're telling us, it sounds like you boarded it up shortly after you got the first notice. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you verify or testify whether or not it may have that because of what you've already testified has been going on in the neighborhood? Is it possible that the work that you did was taken down or disturbed?
Ma'am,
Pardon me?
if it was, and if it was done by the city of Philadelphia,
No, I'm asking not by the city of Philadelphia, if people in the neighborhood might have opened the property up again.
right, but if they open the property up again, someone would have to seal it, like the city said they sealed it, right?
No, sir, please. If it will really help us to help you if you just answer the question yes or no, because we get what you're saying. We get your line of questioning. Trust me, we're going to be a fair adjudicating body. But please just answer her question. Could you ask it again?
Can you repeat the question?
The question is, after you boarded it up, you boarded it up, is it possible that people in the neighborhood may have taken down the work that you did and left it open again?
No. After I boarded it up, I made the decision to start fixing the property up and make sure I put windows and doors on it so I wouldn't have this issue.
Okay, thank you. Then I would concur with Ryan's opinion that this should be continued for Mr. Estriplet to bring us the documentation to establish what he did at the property.
Okay.
Do the other board members concur?
I concur, Dominique Ward.
Okay, and we already had Ryan and I concur as well. I think I would add one minor thing, and that is that if the petitioner has that documentation and could send it to us before the next hearing is scheduled, it might give us an opportunity to have the documents before the hearing and be better prepared.
And also,
it's not
Melissa can send it to the city's attorneys as well. So,
Right.
Melissa, could you
right.
give him?
Well, I was going to say, I think, sorry.
Melissa, could you give him a way to contact and a way to, email you, where to email you the documents so we can get it to the city's attorneys?
Absolutely. If you could just meet me outside, once you are done here, I'll give you my card. You email it directly to me. I'll make sure Mr. Cohen gets it.
Thank you.
Thank you
So
very
we-
much, Director
We're going to
Andre. Thank you,
continue
members of
this
the board.
matter, and you'll get a notice from us in terms of the rescheduling date. But when you have the documents, if you could share them with us, that would be appreciated.
No, thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in.
At this moment, I just want to kind of do a bit of a roll call. I see there's someone who entered, Nakia Clark. Can you please identify yourself for the record? Or Mr. Cohen, if you can identify her, that's great too.
Yes, Nikia Clark is one of the new hires in our unit. She's just observing.
Great. No, I'm expecting, we got word that a petitioner would be jumping in. I just wanted to.
Oh, thank you.
I'm going to go back outside just to see if anybody else is here. And then I mean, we have 2 cases left, so we can decide.
Okay.
afterwards.
All right, so we're on a hold until you can determine that. Thank you.
Hello again. There is no one else in my physical hearing room here at 100 South Broad Street, 4th floor. And it looks to me like in the waiting room, in the Zoom, there is no one who has not been identified or who is a petitioner as well. So Nancy, I believe you can make some decisions about the rest.
So we don't know whether that petitioner who requested the Zoom hearing is just delayed in joining us or has decided not to join at all. We don't have any word.
It is 2:28, and I just asked the receptionist as well, and she said she's not received any phone calls or anything like that.
Okay.
So I haven't gotten any word that someone is not
Okay,
or
fine.
having difficulty jumping onto these.
But fine, I just wanted to double check that because that was the one we had been told would be joining us virtually. And sometimes that can be missed.
Challenging.
So in that case, if we go, since we're talking about that one, number 5 on the agenda is Kalita Rogers Moffett. Last 4 digits of the docket 9268, property address 5434 Market Street. And at this point, 30 minutes after the scheduled start for the hearing, the petitioner has not attempted to join the meeting virtually as indicated before. So unless there's an objection from anyone, this petition would be denied for failure to appear. Before we make take a vote on that, Melissa, if you could let us know if there have been previous continuances or any other information we should consider before we activate that.
I apologize, one moment.
That's okay. I'm hitting you while you were reorganizing data.
There was a continuance requested by the petitioner on 3/25/21. It was granted. There was a master level hearing, which she appealed. So it's been continued once by request by petitioner. The second time it was listed 7/15, but we believe that was an administrative error. That was the day where nobody came and we thought it was very odd. So today, I mean, we already have several petitioners who have said that they.
Okay, so we would deny it for failure to appear, but not indicate there would be no further continuances or no further hearings. If I'm
Brian Boyd,
understanding
I
correctly.
concur.
Paula Weiss, I concur.
Dominique Ward, I concur.
And I'm agreeable as well. So we're denying this petition for failure to appear with no further comments on it. The other remaining item is item number 2 on the agenda, Desiree Brittingham. Last 4 digits of the docket 9347. Property address is 1215 South 52nd Street. Do we have any information about prior denials or failures to appear?
Yeah, this petition was filed in December of 2017. There was a master level hearing sometime in 2018, which she failed to appear. No, she requested a continuance. I apologize. She requested a continuance. It was continued. Then another continuance was requested for a hearing on March 25th, 2019. Then she heard the case before a master, and then she appealed, and then another continuance was for December of 2019. And this was another case that was listed on that administrative error day. And so this is the first listing since that day.
So
Would say no further hearings.
deny it today and no further hearings is your recommendation. All
I
right.
concur. Ryan Boyd concur.
Dominic Ward concurs.
And Nancy Camerina will join in. So this matter is denied for failure to appear with no further hearings. And unless there are other items to be raised that I'm unaware of, and if so, please chime in. But if no one adds anything now, this hearing would be adjourned.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Have a good day.
Have a good day. Bye.
Everyone,
Thank you.
Have a
members
great
of the board.
weekend.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Sharice.
Bye.
Bye, Rich.